Hey everybody, it's Survivor Buddy Gordon Holmes here with your exit interview for Survivor 46, the premiere episode. Where does the time go? Feels like just yesterday we were crowning D, champion of Survivor 45. We'll be talking to Jelinski in just a minute. Before we get into that, a couple of quick orders of business. First of all, check out my episode recaps every Wednesday evening on Substack. That's gordonholmes.substack.com. Boom, boom, boom. We have a breakdown of everything that happened. Also, individual grades for all of the players. Also, the Survivor Power Rankings are coming back this Monday, and everybody, who's going to be? Who's going to be? It is ambitious, maybe too ambitious. I might be regretting this, but definitely we have something very exciting in store. So please come back Monday and check it out. Also, if you enjoyed this content, do us a huge favor: like the video, subscribe to the channel. It costs you nothing. Hit the notification bell. The more people we get in front of, the more stuff we can do. With that being said, let's see what Jelinski has to say about last night's episode. It was a train wreck. Yeah. Oh, Jelinski, that was a rough premiere, my friend. How you feeling?
I'm feeling really good. I'm super happy with everything that's come of it, everything that's being said. Can't ask for much more than that.
Now, in preseason, did Jeff say you didn't have a great shot at winning?
Yeah, he said that in the regard of I have a good heart, I have a big heart, I have a big heart. And he felt like it was going to be difficult for me to lie to people. And the show definitely showed that. I would like to think that I still have those deceitful and lying capabilities in my heart, but yeah, that's not what the show showed, so I can't say that.
Oh, it kills me when Jeff is proven right. Like that stab twist, that really gets me. So last night at Tribal Council, how surprised were you that it was you instead of Jess? You know, like on a scale of 1 to several.
I would say probably about a 3.
Okay,
Yeah, and obviously several meaning 7, so one to
it's like right in the
7.
middle.
1 to 7, I was at a 3. Yeah, I was certain that Jess was going to go, but there was a deep part in my gut that knew it was going to be me, and I thought that because I knew who I was, and I knew that I was a gamer, and I saw who was around me, and I recognized that everyone here kind of knows what they're doing. So I was like, if they're smart, they'll get me out for sure. And lo and behold, they're smart.
Now, the thing that seemed the original thing they held against you seemed to be giving up during the sweat challenge. Take me back. What was that conversation with Q like? Did he agree with you at that time?
Yeah, well, quitting the sweat task was not an idea in my mind until Q had mentioned it.
Mhm.
And we were doing it for about an hour and a half, and I was walking up and down the beach, shoeless. I was walking on the coral, and it got to a point where I couldn't even stand. My feet were so torn up, and I couldn't even wear my shoes for a month after the show was done. I just needed to air my feet out. They were so torn up and infected. So I knew we were struggling. I knew I was struggling, and Q and I had just about the same amount of water in our jugs. So I was like, man, let's conserve our energy for the immunity challenge, and let's do some things there.
Was it a situation where the two of you kind of did the math and it just wasn't going to happen no matter what you did?
Yeah, that's what it
Okay.
seemed to be like. But yeah, I mean, Q, huge props to him. He was able to flip that narrative because he was going around telling people that it was my idea to quit.
Mhm.
It wasn't. It wasn't even a thought in my mind until he had presented it to me. So it kind of worked in two ways for him. One, we were able to stop doing the sweat task. And I mean, who wants to like do that amount of labor if it's not needed?
Mhm.
And two, he was able to put that on me.
See, that
And
makes it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
what
I'm just
well,
saying
I
that
was
makes a ton of sense because going into travel, you would say we made the decision, we decided to quit. Where it seemed like it was you had made the decision. So that makes a ton more sense why you were answering questions that way.
Yeah, man. And the moment we came back to camp and explained what happened, it was a mutual thing. And in fact, Q kind of led the charge on that. He was like, I made a business decision that we just weren't going to do it. And I was like, yeah, there's just no way that we were going to do it. We were both having a hard time. And I'm not to speak on Q, I know I was having a hard time just judging how much water were in both of our jugs. We were both having a hard time.
Mhm. My mother is not particularly good with technology, so I rarely get texts from her. Last night, she was furious that you shattered glass on a beach. So, what do you have to say for yourself, Jelinski? That's
Man,
a risky move.
I couldn't be happier. I'm happy it was an impulse decision, and looking back, I'm sure the fans are super happy that I destroyed that hourglass. But to your mother's credit, I apologize because the person who had to clean that up was not happy. And I didn't realize that until way later on when I was in Ponderosa.
Okay. Well, I'm never gonna get too upset at somebody who upsets my mother because that's always entertaining, especially in a Survivor context. Who ended up having to clean up the hourglass on the beach?
Man, I don't know. I don't know, but whoever did, I'm so sorry. We'll have to go out for a coffee because as proven on the show, I don't really think about the consequences of my actions. And yeah, that is something that didn't even cross my mind. I didn't even realize it broke.
That the beach challenge. When you got there, was there an opportunity to back out, or was it like you're here, you got to do it?
You're here, you got to do it.
Okay. Because wow, I tell you, I when I was hearing about it, I'm like, oh, this seems like a fun little game. And then the second she was like, this is going to affect how I view you, I was like, oh no, they can never do this again. I had said because I think in the moment, I imagine you probably got a bunch of heat over this, and you clearly did in the game. I would have done the same thing. I feel like would have been like, this isn't worth it. I have a steady alliance back home. I have the wrong card. So like, is that what's going through your brain?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I want to say the journey is where it went wrong for me, but the sweat task is actually where it went wrong for me. And the journey didn't help it. When I came back from the journey, it kind of solidified things as like Jelinski's crazy. He doesn't know what he's doing out here. We gotta give him a go. He's so independent. How can we count on him? He's just doing whatever he feels. And but when you look at it in a retrospect, I was thinking in my mind, why would I go back to camp with 12 enemies and an extra vote than to come back with to camp with two new allies and no vote, especially when I have an alliance back here on Yanu Beach. So I was thinking that was the best decision for me by far.
Yeah, that was rough. Did you have a chance to talk with Maria, talk with Tevin? Was any kind of cross tribe alliance discussed?
Oh yeah, yeah, we definitely talked about tribe dynamics, what was going on each tribe, and something I will say is I did not fold quickly in that journey. I did fold quickly, but not as quickly as it was shown on the TV. So Maria opened up. She was like, "Okay, I have a question, and this question is gonna tell me who has the skull card and who has the voting parchment card." She asked, "What color was the pen on the voting parchment card?" I knew what the color was. I knew it was blue. Tevin did not know what the color was. So for the longest time, Maria was actually believing that I had the voting parchment card. But Tevin is actually kind of the reason that I conceded that because we're just going back and forth, back and forth. And I mean, you saw Tevin, he's just a large personality. Like, how can you argue with that? So that's when I started to click things in my mind. I was like, okay, let me come clean because this is only going to hurt me.
Yeah, I was trying to think of what you could have done differently. And there was like when you went back, you told the truth, and I wonder if that was a detriment because then it was the narrative became you care more about their votes than you care about our votes. Was there any thought of like, oh, we had to flip a coin, or turn the wheel, or 500 other things they've done in the past to try to make it seem less like you were trying to support their tribes more than your own?
Yeah, I briefly thought about making a lie, but I thought that the best thing to do was just tell the truth. And obviously with this being a new game, that did not help me at all because they're like, "What the is going on? Like, what is this dude doing? He's making lies out of his ass, you know?" And if I were on the other end of that, I would not believe me either. I mean, that was a crazy journey that had never been done before. And beyond that, no one ever like when you go on a journey, you really put yourself at a big risk. I mean, but you got to be prepared for that. So you got to come back expecting people not to believe you. And I did, honestly.
Yeah, well, Tiffany was able to find an immunity idol before that first tribal. Did you know anything about that?
I did not. No, that was actually news to me. I thought she had found that beware advantage day 4. And me looking for the idol specifically was a huge thing out in Yanu. Like on day 1, I told everybody, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go look for the idol. I just openly said that, and that's kind of how I do things. I act very independently, and you can't act independent in a dependent game. Everybody out here is trying to win what you're trying to win, and that's the title of Soul Survivor. So when you see someone working to accomplish things for themselves, like that's obviously a no-go.
Okay.
And yeah, so that idol was a huge shock to me. No idea.
Okay. We do a word association here to get to know your tribe mates a little bit better. I'll give you someone's name, give you the first word, a couple words that pop into your head. Let's start off with Banu.
Wholesome.
Q.
Tyrant.
Tiffany.
Strong.
Kenzie.
Likable.
Jess.
Delirious.
And since you spent some time with them, let's try Tevin.
Magnificent.
Okay. And we'll finish off with Maria.
Unexpected.
Okay. So we, we only see a little bit of a 2-3 day period. Was there anything that happened out there during your time that didn't make the cut that you wish we'd seen?
Yeah, there was a lot. Honestly, watching that show back, I kind of forgot that there were 17 other people on the beach with me. I forgot that other tribes had to be shown. I forgot that other people in my tribe had to be shown. So I was kind of expecting the 2 hour premiere to be like Jelensky, just because of how much I was doing out there. Like I got caught the first night looking for idols. I was digging at the water well, sticking my hands in trees. I got like pinched by a crab, like bit by a spider, and it was just absolutely pandemonium out there for me. And I was just doing all things possible. Yeah, I think everything else kind of was shown the way it was supposed to be shown, and yeah, just know I was doing the most out there, man. I was acting a fool.
There you go. Making the most of it. Jess, oh my goodness. She's tough to watch just because it's clear she's having really struggling out there. You know, how much of a concern was that? Was medical ever brought in at any point? Like, how worried should I be for poor Jess out there?
Yeah, I mean, for my time out there, medical was not brought, and but I mean, those elements are really it's the real deal out there. And I was having a really hard time too, but I was having a hard time more physically, and she was having a hard time physically and mentally. Like you saw, she couldn't even formulate a sentence, and that's kind of how it was around camp too. And on top of that, it didn't necessarily help that, I mean, you saw the Alliance of Four, like that's kind of just who naturally clicked. Jess and Banu kind of were on the outs of that, and to be kind of delirious as that's going on, it doesn't help you. So definitely it's something to keep an eye on.
All right. Well, Jelinski, thank you so much for your time. I know you got a busy day ahead of you. If you're ever thinking of selling that Survivor slot machine, you let me know. You drop me a line.
All right, I've got a warehouse full of them. I'll reach out to you.
All right, please do. All right, thank you so much for your time, man.
Later, brother.